does nothing about this sort of behaviour.
Jackie Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Meanwhile, back in the 21st century, I also want to talk about the importance of agriculture to the New Zealand economy. You know, Mr. Speaker, a previous Labour Prime Minister once famously declared with great conviction that agriculture was a sunset industry.
Who said that?
That was the former Prime Minister David Logie. Now, that might have been, I acknowledge, that might have been a few years ago, but that attitude by the Labour Party prevails today. Last night in the House, Labour List MP Raymond Toe described high country farmers as, quote, the privileged few. You know, Mr. Speaker, it bears saying and it bears saying again, Labour hates farmers. Well, do you know they couldn't be more wrong? For the year ending 30th of September 2011, the primary sector accounted for 71% of our export earnings, or $32 billion, Mr. Speaker. So simply put, the primary sector has been and continue to be the backbone of the New Zealand economy. The ongoing success of the primary sector is a key part of our plan to build a stronger economy, create more real jobs and also to raise incomes. National is proud to champion farmers, is proud to champion growers. National believes that economic development can go hand in hand with environmental sustainability. Just for a moment, have a look at the $35 million Irrigation Acceleration Fund. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. And the $400 million proposed equity investment from 2013-14. Irrigation development creates jobs. Irrigation development creates jobs, particularly for young people, and also a fantastic career development in our rural towns of New Zealand. So let's just have a look at the Opua Dam project in South Canterbury, and you can see the enormous benefit, not just to the local economy, but also to water quality downstream from the dam. Irrigators are required to up their game with regards to nutrient outflows and are responding to the call to improve water quality. You know, Mr.
Order,
Speaker,
I'd ask the member please not to read a speech during this general debate. She's perfectly welcome to keep going.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Please refer to notes, but don't read a pre-written speech to us.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Jackie Dean.
You know, I absolutely back regional councils' approach and their commitment to improving water quality. And farmers understand very well their responsibilities in terms of the need to protect their environment and to farm sustainably. High country farmers, and Mr. Speaker, I will be reading a bit because I will be quoting, but I do hope you will bear with me. High country farmers are currently under the spotlight with the Crown Pastoral Land Rent for Pastoral Leases Amendment Bill being debated in the House. The Greens display their usual eco-arrogance in asserting that only they understand, and I'm quoting now, environmentally sustainable outcomes, completely misunderstanding that high country farmers have a multi-generational commitment to improving rabbit-infested, hyraceum-infested, wilding pine-infested high country to the point where over the past 100 or so years their international reputation as producers of the finest product and the finest wool, including merino wool, is second to none. The Icebreaker Company sources the finest merino wool from stations throughout the South Island, and I'm about to quote another figure, Mr. Speaker, but can't get enough to meet demand. Unlike Labour, we want Icebreaker to succeed. Indeed, we want them to be wildly successful, and if I may quote, Icebreaker revenue is expected to be $160 million for this fiscal year, and they say their aim is to double that within the next 3 years. This government wants small companies like Icebreaker to be wildly successful.
That's right.
Now, when David Parker was the Minister of Lands, he did everything he could to retire the high country from production, including ratcheting up the rents to face the farmers into tenure review. Luckily, there was a change of government, and we now have a return to a government which supports agriculture.
Order. Before I call the next member, I'm serious about asking members please not to read general debate speeches unless it's a highly technical matter, and that wasn't. Nothing wrong with quoting and reading quotes. The only saving grace I can say is that at least it was handwritten, so at least I guess it was written by the member and not by someone else. But the Honourable Marion Street.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.